All right, let's do exploration 1, designing a polynomial to specifications. The instructions say construct a polynomial p of x equal to a0 plus a1x plus a2x squared plus a3x cubed plus a4x to the fourth with the following behavior at x equals 0. And we have all these criteria here. So what we need to do is figure out what all of these coefficients are going to be, the a0 and the a1, etc. Well, let's just start with p of 0. And when we substitute 0 in for all of the x's, we're going to end up with a0. And we know that that has to be equal to 5. Okay, so that was pretty easy. Now our next criteria up here has to do with the first derivative of p. So let's take that derivative. So I'm going to have p prime of x. And when I take my derivative, that's going to give me a1 plus 2 a2x plus 3 a3x squared plus 4 a4x cubed. And when I evaluate this at x equals 0, I'm going to get a1, and that means that a1 is going to have to be equal to 7. All right, our next criteria is the second derivative. So let's take that second derivative. So p double prime of x is going to be equal to 2a2 plus 6a3x plus 12a4x squared. And when we evaluate this at 0, we're going to be left with 2a2, and we know that that has to be equal to 11, or a2 is going to be equal to 11 halves. All right, so we've got our first 3 coefficients, and we're just going to keep going. So we have to figure out what the third derivative is going to be, and that's going to give us 6a3 plus 24a4x. And once again, we're going to evaluate that third derivative at 0, and that's going to give us 6a3, and that has to be equal to 13, or a3 is going to be equal to 13 over 6. And we're almost out of criteria, which is good because we only have one more coefficient left. So we're going to take our fourth derivative here. And when we do that, we get quite simply 24 times a4. So when we apply our criteria for x equals 0, we're going to have 24 a4 is going to be equal to 17, or a4 is going to be equal to 17 over 24. So now we can take all of these criteria and substitute them into our polynomial and see what we've got. So let's go down here, get ourselves some space. So p of x is going to be equal to a0, which is 5, plus a1 times x, plus a2 times x squared, plus a3 times x cubed, plus a4 times x to the fourth. Now there's not a lot of simplification that we can do here, but we can recognize something. For instance, 2 factorial is equal to 2. And 3 factorial, which is of course equal to 3, times 2 times 1 is equal to 6. and 4 factorial, which is equal to 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is going to be equal to 24. So we can clean this up a little bit. So P of x is going to be 5 plus 7 over 1 factorial times x to the 1 plus 11 over 2 factorial times x squared plus 13 over 3 factorial times x cubed plus 17 over 4 factorial times x to the 4th. And what you should notice is that the factorial in all of these denominators agrees with the power of the x. And what you need to notice even more interestingly is that the coefficients that are here are all equal to the value of that order derivative evaluated at 0. So for instance, this 13 here is actually the value of the third order derivative when evaluated at 0.